Our speaker today is Eric Arvalo, a sales engineer on our government team. I'll be back to help with the Q&A at the end of the webinar. Eric, please take it from here.
Thank you so much, Mark, and hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well, and welcome to How SolarWinds Can Help You with Distance Learning Goals. As Mark said, my name is Eric Arvalo. I'm a senior sales engineer here at SolarWinds, and I've been with the company about 5 years. But before this, I actually used to work at a school district. I worked there for 9 years, so I have some experience with, working in certain technology and really what's going on in school districts, right? So we're going to cover some of those in the agenda items here. So here's our agenda. We just went through the introduction. We're going to talk about distance learning technology overviews and how SolarWinds can help reduce complexity, tighten security, and improve service management. After that, we're going to go over a demonstration of the product, show you, what are the things that we can do, how we do them. We'll discuss those. And at the end, we'll have some resources and Q&A time. So let's get started with SolarWinds at a glance. We were actually founded in 1999. Our headquarters is in Austin, Texas, but we have offices all over the world. We have, really the number one product in network management. As you can see, we definitely have quite a bit of products out there, more than 60 plus. We're a leader in remote and management. We have about 150 plus registered members for our TWAC community. Our TWAC community is actually something really great. It's where your users get together, they ask questions. So if you haven't seen it before, it's a great place to go and look at. We are almost in every branch of the DoD and nearly every civilian intelligence agency out there. More than 320,000 customers in 190 countries. So what is SolarWinds Itom? IT Operations Management Simplified. Here what we see is our different pillars, different things that we cover: service management, application performance management, database performance management, infrastructure management, and network management. IT security becoming a huge part of that. So our products can really, range from, really target different people in the, in education, whether it's IT ops, IT security, DevOps, and that's whether you have on-prem, you're on the cloud, or, private cloud. So different areas, different technologies that we can help monitor. So some of our products are really just network management, system management. These are, some products that, hey, our customers deploy out. Maybe I just want to monitor our network, right? But a lot of times, because our products integrate, they actually include, all right, now we're going to start to monitor system management. It's one single pane of glass. And actually, when I talk to customers, that's one of the things that they look at, because they have different areas or different products that are monitoring different things. They have to log in. So what we really try to do is simplify that, right? Bring it all into one pane of glass where you can go in here and look at the network part. You can look at database performance, application performance, IT security, and things like that. So definitely quite a few products, and we're going to cover some of those. With distance learning technologies, and just thinking about how when I used to work at a school district, we covered so many areas. It's really a large, an enterprise that you guys are managing, whether it's storage or servers or application security, PCs. There's quite a bit of technology, and especially in the situations that we're in, now you have people remoting in, VPNing in, you might have a hybrid environment. You might have a lot of people working from home, right? How do we ensure that everything's working properly, that the resources are there? How do we troubleshoot problems when we have some, how do we know about those right away before we start getting calls? It might be video, it might be resources that teachers are trying to access, right? Or students. Becomes way more important now that, they're in front of a computer, whereas before they were in front of a classroom, they could spend time talking while you were troubleshooting that problem. Now, if they can't connect or they can't access something, they might not be able to teach. So those things are becoming way more important. And that's what we're hearing from our customers right now. When I'm talking with customers and they're telling us, listen, we need to be able to troubleshoot these things fast, because if a teacher cannot teach, the students are not learning, and we're not providing the level of education that people expect. So, whether you have a hybrid environment, people are in the classrooms, people are at home, whether it's the resources that people are trying to access, high security, how do I ensure that our products or that our applications, or if we have someone that is trying to do something malicious, how do we find that? Something happened in the network, I need to be able to show that what happened, right? So we're going to cover a lot of things, cloud applications, how do we monitor those? How do we ensure that kids are able to access those resources? Things like that. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on with this presentation. What Solarwinds is all about, and I actually used to be a user of the product, we're really about reducing complexity, really monitoring applications and websites, understanding really the connectivity, traffic-wise, how do we ensure that our network is running to the best of the abilities. In fact, let me give you an example. Just yesterday, I was talking to a colleague of mine. He's still working in a school district. Last night, they got about 17 pallets of devices. And now they need to deploy all those devices. But if you think about it, all those devices now have to be connected to either the network, they need to VPN in, they need to access resources, right? And so it is becoming more and more complex. And so that's what SolarWinds is all about. Providing tools to help you troubleshoot faster and easier. So how do we do that? Well, we have different products that can help with that. Service Application Monitor, right? All right, we need to ensure that the application's up and running, right? If someone VPNs in, they're able to access it. Maybe it's a service. Is that service up and running? And if it's not, then I want to know about it. Yeah, I'm going to get email notifications. Web Performance Monitor, right? When you're monitoring to make sure that people can access a website, and that not only on that website can they access those resources, but at the same time, not just the front, like the main page, you want to make sure they can log in, that they can choose, deposit money or sign up for some class. Those are things that Web Performance Monitor can help do. That's an on-prem solution, right? That's something that you can install in your environment and be able to test whether it's internally or externally. Pingdom is another product like that. Pingdom does synthetic and real user monitoring for web applications, right? So whether it's inside or outside, not only am I running those tests, but I'm also looking at how users are seeing, the application. Is it fast? Is it too slow? And of course, Network Performance Monitor quickly detects and diagnoses and resolves network performance issues and outages. If I lose a main core, a router, guess what? Now we're not able to access those resources internally. Some of the other conversations that I have with customers are really about IT security, right? Okay, we have all these logs, we have all these applications, we have IDSs, maybe firewalls, and now something happened. Well, you're going to take the time to look at each one of those logs, log into each system, and try to put together what happened, right? It's inefficient. For that, there's SIM solutions, right? And that will monitor logs, collect logs, and things like that, and create auto responses to help you get notifications about that. But at the same time, being able to manage vulnerabilities on our switches. Are we running onto the latest version? Do we have a baseline? Was there any changes that happened? Do we have good backups of that so that we can be up and running? Again, how SolarWinds helps with that is we have a product called Network Configuration Manager. Network Configuration Manager, I actually love this product because if I had this product when I used to work at the school district, I wouldn't have to worry about backups. If I made a change to a switch and I didn't save that, then those are things that the product does for you. Secure an event manager, something happens, I need to be able to go and put a report together as to what happened. This IP, I need to see everything that happened with this IP. And that's what SIEM is really going to do. SIEM is our SIEM solution. And it helps with not only stable and compliance, but also helps you troubleshoot what happened in the environment. Improving service management. Distance learning creates a range of support requirements. Like I said, now you have students that are remoting in from everywhere. They have their own device. They need to be VPN'd in. They need to be able to access resources. How do we ensure that tickets are getting created, that they're getting assigned together, or getting assigned to the right person, things like that. How do we track how much demand is there for support? You may be short-staffed, things like that. Those are all things that now I'm sure you guys are seeing, and actually it's things that we're hearing from our customers too. And that's really where we talk about Web Help Desk. Really, Web Help Desk is a great system that integrates with Orion. It integrates with Dameware Remote Everywhere. Dameware Remote Everywhere is a product that helps you. It's cloud-based remote support, right? I need to remote into a student's machine or a teacher's machine to see what's going on. That's what Dameware is there to do. We also have Service Desk. Service Desk is a SaaS-based help desk system, and it does provide the support that you need. So let's move on here. SolarWinds products that help with learning, with distance learning. So we talked about applications. How do we ensure that things are running? If there's a service that goes down, we need to be able to monitor that. Whether it's a service that it's on-prem, it's on one of our virtual servers or a physical server, or maybe we're using Azure, right? SIEM is a great product because, and I'll talk a little bit about, when I used to work in a school district, we had all kinds of education applications. Sometimes they have memory leaks, and what happens when they run out of memory, the service stops, right? So now I get calls from people and saying, hey, I cannot access this application. Well, that's really where server application comes in. It has so much flexibility. It can actually go in there and restart a service for you. It lets you know, hey, this is down, but now it's up and running. It has more than 1,200 application templates to be able to monitor applications, systems, and infrastructure. Whether you have Office 365, whether you're running Hyper-V, VMware, it's great because it's going to work with cloud solutions, on-prem solutions. One of the latest updates, which is actually really great, and I'll show you in our demo, is being able to visualize how applications are talking to each other. Do we have any issues with communication? When I used to troubleshoot applications, what would I do? I would ping that server. Can I ping it? Am I having any latency with it, right? This actually goes much deeper, and I will make sure you guys see that today. You're going to get the slides, like Mark said, so you'll be able to go into our demo site. You'll be able to go and look at our resources, look at data. So all that information will be there provided to you. Web Performance Monitor, testing internal and external web applications, which is great. Hey, how do I ensure that those websites are up and running? How do I ensure that the people that are needing to use those websites are able to go and see those? Those are the kind of things that they're going to be, the Web Performance Monitor is going to be able to do. Also, well, what about when things are slow? That's also some of the calls that you probably get. Hey, this is too slow. I'm spending too much time on this. Well, before you get that call, the product is going to be able to see that and alert on that. Pingdom is a SaaS-based web performance monitor. So, maybe I'm just looking, I don't want to do any updates. I want to just be able to access the console and do synthetic monitoring. Can people access those websites? Are they able to do those things that they need to do to perform their job? But also being able to do real-time user monitoring. How's it behaving? Do we have more problems, at what time during the day? This user at this time had this issue. And so that's what it's able to do, really give you a visibility across the stack, right? Application infrastructure. This is some of the screenshots of Pingdom. So that way you can see, hey, do we have any latency? Where is it that we're seeing that latency? What are the load times, right? Did we have any issues before? Things like that. Those are that's the kind of information that you're going to be able to see with Pingdom. Hey, I need to create a dashboard for my management, or I need to be able to show management that this is all up and running, or even just for myself, right? I'm working from home. I'm not in the office. Here's, a page where we're seeing how those applications are performing. Now you're not getting any calls. You start to see problems. Well, you can address them, or you can start to look at those before you start getting calls. So just more information. Hey, here's a page that, in this case, we're looking at CNN. What are we seeing as far as load times, right? Network Performance Monitor, really, it's a product. This is what SolarWinds started out with. Quickly detects, diagnoses, resolves network performance problems and outages. It has several tools. We've added quite a bit of features to be able to, for example, hey, I want to see the people that are VPN in. I have a Palo Alto, I have a Cisco firewall. Let's take a look at that. We added features where you can go in there and monitor Cisco ACI. So it's really going to help you troubleshoot, can we get to a resource, right? And those are the kind of things that you'll be able to see on the demo when we get into it here. NCM, this is the product that I was talking about, and we'll go over some of those features there on the demo, but, just, hey, are my running configurations matching my startup configurations? Is there a change? Those kinds of things. Do we have backups of our core router? If you lose your core router and you have to build a configuration, you're going to be spending the whole night doing that, right? If you have that already, great. Then, let's give that new core router an IP and push that configuration to it. Those are the kind of things that NCM will help you do. One of my favorite things was, my least favorite things to do was when someone was leaving our network team, now we had to go in there and change the password for all those users, right? Or for that specific user that was leaving. How do I do that across my network to all my devices without having to remote to each one of those? This is a product that's going to help you do that. Security Event Manager. This is actually becoming a big subject when I'm talking with customers. How do I know what's going on in my environment? How do I go in there and investigate what happened? When you have compliance reporting and audits that you need to do, how do I put that information together? I'm collecting all these logs. Or some customers I talk to, they don't have something that will centralize all the log collection. And that's really hard to do, if you have so many system securities, applications, even like Active Directory, right? How do I know what happened in the environment? Who logged in? How many times did they log in? Where did they try to log in? Those are the things that Sam is going to be able to do, and we'll go over that on the demo. We talked about Web Help Desk, being able to assign tickets automatically and really do asset management, offers knowledge base. So that way, your users can go in there and check that. Great product to be able to do that. there's integration with NPM, NCM, SAM, Dameware Remote Support. With Service Desk is a SaaS application, right? So you don't have to install you don't install in your environment. You're really just accessing a website where users go. They go in there and fill out a ticket. That's actually what I've used this product before. It's great. Sends you notifications, sends that person notifications, keeps you up to date as to where you're at. That way you can prevent calls from, hey, what's the status of this, right? Who's taking a look at that? So great, this product, I don't have to host, this is not something that I need to keep internally. So I'm not going to install on my servers. It is just something that we access through the web. Here's what some of those, and what Service Desk looks like. So as you can see, it is very colorful, great for being able to show dashboards, how many tickets do we have, where are we at as far as, reporting tickets, who's are they assigned to, things like that. So great when you're trying to go in there and see or show management, hey, you know what? We have seen 100% increase in the number of tickets that we have now. And it's got this great interface where, people can go in there and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to look at the knowledge base. It's late at night, and they're probably not going to get to my ticket. Maybe I can resolve it. So great knowledge base to be able to go and do that. That's a self-service portal, right? We do, now that people are working remote tools have become very popular, right? Including Dameware Mini Remote Control. Hey, I want to be able to support users from home, supports iOS, Android devices, right? Single installation, great. We also have Dameware Remote Everywhere. So this is really where, hey, fast and easy remote control. People go to a website. It's, encrypted, multi-factor authentication, endpoint support for everyone on desktops and mobile devices. So let's go to the demo. That way you guys can see some of those things that I talked about that we have this PowerPoint. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I am going to share my screen here. All right. So everyone should be seeing this Orion summary page. This is our Orion platform. This is the product that really this platform hosts all these different modules that we have to monitor networks, to monitor applications, right? So we're going to focus on NPM first, talk about some of those features that I discussed during my presentation or the PowerPoint presentation here. So the way that it monitors things, yeah, it's an MP. Standard protocol, great. You have Linux, you have Palo Alto firewalls, you have HP switches, right? As long as you have SNMP, you can go in here and monitor it, right? This is really just the summary view, and I think for a lot of our products, you're going to be seeing that in the summary view, we're going to show you what is going on in the environment. A lot of red, a lot of green. If you're seeing a whole lot of red, probably doesn't, that's not a good thing. So those are things that, you can see right away as soon as you start to access the summary page. But what's great is that you can go in here at those devices, and really start to focusing on the ones that have problems, right? Hey, response time. That means that we're not, connecting to this, where there's something going in the environment. What can I do now? Well, you can, start to see when this happened. All this information that we're collecting is getting stored in the database. So that way you can look at historical data. We have views that are, network top 10. This is really great because you come into the office, you log in, and now you're seeing, well, do we have locations that are seeing a lot of traffic? I remember in our high school, there was always lots of traffic going on there. So, it really starts to, when you start looking at this every day, you start to see what's normal, what's out of the norm, right? And then yourself, you start to get a feel for what's going on in the environment here. not only is it going to tell you what device, but what port. We're able to see, do we have any errors or discards? What are some of the nodes that are having problems there? When it comes to, I was talking about firewalls, VPN. Let's say you have a Palo Alto firewall. We want to see who's connecting in there, right? Who's VPN in? What load does that node have here? So those are things that you're going to be able to see, and that way really get an idea of where is it that I need to focus if there's anything that I need to troubleshoot. This is all information that it keeps over time. Hey, we have site-to-site VPN maybe to another campus. We can start taking a look at those, right? Some of the integrations that I talked about, like with NCM, being able to look at the configurations, great. I can access that information in here. Really, all within this single pane of glass. Now I'm looking at the running configurations. Is there anything different? Maybe I want to go and download a new configuration because I'm about to make a change to it. That's some of the integrations that we're talking about when we talk about NPM and NCM. They get installed in the same application server. They share the database, and that way you're able to look at this information here. Troubleshooting SaaS applications, right? That's NetPath services, and this is actually really great because when I had outages, we got our internet through our service provider, our regional service center, and how do I know, or how can I tell whether this is an internal problem, something in my side, or on the service center side? We're going to zoom out. This is a little too close here, and there we go. Let's say everything's working great. We can get, really what we're doing here is we're checking this destination. We're looking and going into NetSuite. That's one of our SaaS applications that we use. We're going to, test to port 443, and we're going to test from this device. Now what this is showing me is, how is it that we get there? Do we see a lot of latency in any of those links? These are all internal devices. Here's our firewall. And then these are all provider information, right? T-Mobile's network, XO Communications. And so it's going to go in there and test. In this case, if we take a look at one or the other, you see 820, 830, that's every 10 minutes. And it's going to test to see how is it that we're getting to NetSuite. That could be Office 365. It could be, some other application, maybe a certain management system, whatever. Those are the kind of things that you'll be able to go and do, right? Yeah, everything's working great. But then you start to have an issue. Well, because it is testing at certain times, then what it's going, or at a set time, right, every 10 minutes, it's going to go in there and show you there, where is it that we cannot, what's the last point where we can connect. So we see here router 9, but because we have NCM that is looking at our configurations and there's that integration, now we're able to show what the configuration it was, and it's telling us that there was a configuration change. And it highlights that. That's really great. That means that someone internally made a configuration change, and this could definitely be something that is being affected by that. So great feature. This will tell you, is this something internally or externally? Now you're not spending the time in troubleshooting who is it that you need to call, or do I need to handle this? This part is really where you, the source is just an internal machine. It's a Windows server. You can install it on a workstation. So if you have a teacher that is having problems getting out to Office 365, great. Well, just install it on their machine, go run some tests, and let us show you, yeah, you know what, this is something internally that we're having problems with. Let's look at network configuration manager here, and it's called manager really because it's not really monitoring. It's actually going in there and going in and looking at your configurations. Maybe I want to see, quickly, I have a baseline for configurations. How different is it, right? How many machines are not up to baseline? Maybe I want to be able to see changes. How many changes have happened? How many devices have not been changed? Or how many are just not seeing those changes, right? I was working with a customer. They wanted to see, inventory is great. It's one of those things that, for budgeting, how many versions of a certain product do we have, a certain switch? We used to work through bonds, and so every 5 years, we had a policy that we had to change those. So now I can provide my manager a quick report of how many switches we have that are this model, that are running this version of iOS. That's not something I have to log into every switch and collect. It's not something that I have to maintain because the product has a job that is going to go and do that. And it's going to tell me how many devices we don't have inventory. And if I want to see those devices, then I'm just going to be able to click on that and be able to see those. This, I was talking about, hey, when someone leaves our network team, how do I go in there and change the password? If you have to log into every switch and do that, even if you're running a script, you still have to SSH in, you still have to telnet into it. And so that's where this product will help you with automating that. Okay, I'm going to choose all my Cisco devices. Let's just say we have 20 3560s, right? So I'm going to select all of those. And now I'm going to execute a script. Well, a script is really like if you're typing into the command line. As you can see, this one is just doing a configuration or a description to an interface there. But I can go and do config term, and then I can say something like enable secret, and this is going to run that command on all those 20 switches. How do I know if it worked? Well, that's where the transfer status comes in. This is going to tell you, did we connect? Yes, that command ran successfully, it's completed. No, this one didn't work. So now I know which ones I need to go and troubleshoot. Where are we as far as inventory? Did everything work? Great. Those are all things that you can do with this product, network configuration. And, I'm sure right now you're spending a whole lot more time supporting users remotely, being available. And so to simplify your job as to, what are some of the changes that you're making, much faster, it's going to help out. But also when you're looking at compliance, right? Are we compliant? Do we see anything that is different? This feature is actually really great because, it already has those reports built out. And what's really great is that you can actually go in there and create your own reports. You can create your own rules. Really, the reports are just a bunch of rules. They're a bunch of questions. And if we take a look at one, you'll see what I mean by that. Because if I want to go see if password encryption's on a switch here, then I can go and show this. And this is going to look for that specific string. If it's not there, then send me a critical alert. But maybe I also want this to run a script to fix that. Okay, if it's not on, now I'm just going to turn it on. It's as simple as that. So I'm just going to type that out. That's what NCM is going to be able to do. It's going to help you with backing up, do firmware upgrades. You can run jobs to make sure that you have backups every night. That if you're looking to see what changed on as far as configurations, you're able to see that. That's a report that you can just enable and then run and then get in the morning. So let's go into Server and Application Monitor, monitoring applications. When I talked about having templates to be able to monitor Active Directory, Apache, SQL, do we have any problems, right? And if we do, what is it? So we provide templates so that you can go in there and monitor those applications. We also have a place where, I discussed our TWAC community. Those are where, customers actually go in there and create their own custom templates. And it's very easy to be able to go in there and monitor a service. Let's say we're talking about education software. Again, this is something that, it's just a service that is running on a server, and I need to be able to go and monitor that. How do I go about doing that? Well, if we connect to a server here, and I want to be able to see if that service is running, then I can take a look at the real-time Process Explorer or the Service Control Manager. This actually is going to show me all the services that are running. So I can go and select a service, and I can start to monitor that. Maybe it's a process, right? All right, so if it's a process, here's the process that I want to monitor, and I want to start to monitor that. And that's it. This will walk you on through creating that template. You want to get notified. So very simple to be able to do that. The other thing that I discussed was also application connections, right? How are applications communicating? Do we have any latency? Do we have any packet loss? And that's the application connections here that you see on the right-hand side. Those are dependencies. So we know Exchange relies heavily on Active Directory. Actually, if Active Directory is not working, you're not going to have email, right? But those are the kind of things that you can start to monitor, and that way be able to see, here we have this server, right, that is talking to this applications, and these are the ports that it's talking through. So now, if we do have any latency, if we do have any packet loss, I'm going to be able to see that. And I'm going to be able to see what port, what service. So, like I was talking before, when I was troubleshooting applications, what was I doing? Well, I was, pinging that server. Yeah, we don't seem to have any application or any communication problems because it's pinging 1 millisecond. But now it's actually going in there and taking a look at the ports. And that way you can see, yeah, which maybe there's application firewall that you have. Maybe there's QoS policies or, something that is interfering with communication to that port. What's really great is that once you have this information, maybe you want to look at this visually. These are maps that get created and show you that this application talking to this other application that is on this server. Maybe you're using some of our other products like VMware or SRM, and those products will monitor the virtualization side, the storage side, and you want to be able to see those, right? So here we have that application, Exchange, on this server. We have IIS that is running, right? And so those are the kind of views that you can start to create. And not only that, but also put that on the main page. Maybe give a manager a view so they can start to see how applications are working. This is all with Server and Application Monitor. Great product, being able to monitor applications, letting you know when you have problems. There's templates built out. You can create your own templates. That's really what you can do. And as you can see, there are all kinds of templates that you can use already. But most of the time when I'm talking with customers, I ask them, what are your tier 1 applications that you need? Okay, let's add those. What do you want to monitor on those? From there, maybe you want to monitor, DNS. Maybe we have Azure that we want to monitor, right? If you do have any resources out there in the cloud and you want to be able to monitor those, great, you can do that. By having your cloud account and being able to authenticate, we can start to pull that information. And that way, you're not only monitoring things that are internal, but also external. And let's say you want to monitor something more than just up and down in CPU. Maybe you want to monitor a certain application. great. There's an agent for that, so you can use that agent. No extra cost for that agent there. So let's talk about the web performance monitor here. This is, and this product, a very simple, very good example of that is being able to go in there and test Office 365. Can I get to it? Can I go and access some, can I create a new email, right? And so here we are doing a transaction on Office 365. We're logging in, we're getting to our page, right? This could be, we're logging in, we're typing, we're creating a new email, we're going to type in a message, we're going to send it, and then we're going to log off, and then we want to be able to see that it got to this website, the log off page, or maybe, it has to have an image in there that we see. Those are the kind of things that you can use in order to make sure that, hey, this is a transaction that is working. This is a action that, users are going to do, and that we want to make sure that we test and that it's working properly. So this one has 2 steps, very simple. You know what? We cannot get to our login page. So I can click on that step and then be able to see, well, not only do we have historical information as to when was it that it was working, but we also have information as to, what are some of the things that it's loading up on that page. Maybe we want to take a current screenshot. Maybe some days it took longer than others, right? What are those time frames in there? So it really gives you per page there, what is it that it's doing. Here you can see what are those actions. Those are all one transaction. Some of the questions that I get about this, like, great, Eric, that's, but if you're testing internally, of course, everything is fast internally, right? You're on the LAN. But what about when you have users outside? Well, you can actually deploy a client out there and then test from the outside. Not only are you getting, internally how's it working, but also outside. And that's what this is here on the main page. We have different sites and different transactions that we're testing, right? So we're testing from Brazil, we're testing from the East Data Center, and, of course, you can test from Azure. You can test if you have resource, some instances of servers or even workstations out there. Yeah, great. You can test from out there, and that way see, can we get to it from the outside? And if we can't get to it, it's an access problem, meaning I cannot access that resource overall, or is it a specific page? And that's what this is going to help out with. So let's talk a little bit about security, right? So we kind of talked a little bit about NCM, how it's, vulnerabilities and taking a look at those. Do we have the right configurations? Was there a configuration change? And what was that actual change? But then logs. Logs is something that everyone has, every application has in there. How do we bring all that together? And that's what Sam is going to be able to do. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I had a customer that called and said, hey, Eric, we're having a problem. This user is telling us that their machine keeps getting turned off. They're remoting into that machine. And now, she's blaming us. She's saying that we're going out there and turning off their machine. So I said, all right, great. Well, let's try Sam here. Let's install let's start collecting logs. We saw an agent in there. And 2 days later, we had another meeting to see how everything was going. Well, they found out that it was actually the user that was shutting down the machine, right? So now you have that information. Very simple to use, because in here, maybe I'm looking for a certain user. Maybe I'm just going to search for admin. Did anyone log in as admin? And now we have that data there, right? This product, if we take a look at, this is actually a great example. Here we have the administrator account. I click on that, and I'm able to see information about that log. The way that we put this information is that we give everything an event type. Think of that as the title of the event. Event info goes over, the user, right? Maybe I want to be able to go in there and take a look at that. All failed logons. Great, simple, right here. That's all your information. Now I can see when this happened, right? I have all this information. Maybe we're not using the whole word administrator. Maybe, someone's logging into admin to an application or to a switch. As long as those logs are being collected by SIEM, then they're going to get sorted out through here. Sometimes, and I'll give you another example. This is something that I went through when I was working in the school district. We had shared folders. Teachers would go in there and, store all their presentations. And, they have this great way of really organizing things, right? But sometimes things disappear, they get moved, and it could be that that person did it by mistake. That's okay, it happens to all of us, right? Well, with this product, you can actually do file auditing. That way, you can see what got moved, who deleted, who created. Those kinds of things are things that you can go in there and do. So, you want to be able to monitor who's making changes to network folders. Great. You can use file auditing for that. All that information is going to get collected. It's going to get stored. You can go and do searches on it. You can build reports for it. You can create alerts for when things like that happen. What about if someone gets added into the domain admin account or the domain admin group, right? Those are things that you probably want to know. You probably want to make sure that no one's getting added to that by mistake. Maybe now it's a time where you want to get alerted if an account gets locked out, because if an account gets locked out, a user cannot teach or cannot learn. Those are things that you can definitely do with this product. And we can see those filters that are actually already built out. So as soon as you start sending logs to this, you can go and do account lockouts here and see who's getting locked out. From there, just build a rule. That rule is going to really give you notifications when that happens. This will collect logs for not only servers, switches, applications, DLPs, data loss prevention systems, IDSs. It is really that product will collect logs for your whole environment there. Well, so I think we've seen quite a bit of the demo there. I want to make sure I leave some time for questions that you have, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And we should be back at our PowerPoint. There are all kinds of resources out there that we have for education, case studies, education codes. Maybe we need to budget for this, right? This is all great information that you're going to be able to get.
That's great, Eric. Thanks so much. I just do want to remind folks to type in your questions into the Q&A tab on the right side of your screen. There are a few questions that have come in. So, Eric, can you compare SIEM to other log products, please? Yeah,
that's a very, very good question. So that's something that we get a lot. Why SIEM, right? Well, really, SIEM it's really simple because the number of devices, IP devices that you're sending logs to, that's what we're gonna go and look at. Once you have, hey, we have 50 devices, great. That's all you're going to need. You're not, we're not really looking at how much storage you're using, how many events are being sent to it. We don't care if you start out with 250 gigs and now you're using a terabyte of storage, right? So you really have the flexibility of having that internally, having control of that storage of those events that you need to collect and that data that needs to stay in your environment. So that's usually one of the things that I bring up quite a bit. The other one is the connectors, right? Connectors are really there to help you normalize those logs. Those are already built out for you. So I want to talk to my antivirus. Great. Here is the what we're going to need to do in that case. You don't have to do nothing besides point us to the log location there.
Okay, great. Here's another question. Let's see. Which help desk product do you recommend?
That's a great question, and a tough one to answer because it really depends, right? You may want to have control of that application internally. You may not want to run updates on. You may want to just say, hey, I'm going to have this hosted internally. Then great, web help desk is the way to go. The other service desk is going to, something that you're not hosting. It's hosted somewhere. It's a SaaS application. So, in that case, that could be good too, because now you don't have to worry about updates. You don't have to worry about making sure that it's up and running. It's just a site that everyone uses and accesses. So, those are some things to think about. Usually that's where I start with customers, and we start talking about, other things. Hey, do I want to integrate it with other things in my environment there?
Great, Eric. It's too bad they don't give you the easy questions, right? Okay, so I don't see any more of this coming in at this point, so we can move forward and get this thing wrapped up. There's a slide here on information how you can reach us. There's a website and phone number and email and other contact information, so please let us know how we can help. I also want to just put a quick plug in for an event called Flat Camp. This is an annual event. I think we've done it for like over a decade now, but it's a 2-day event that has a whole series of technical videos. It's sponsored by a lot of the different technical VPs and the head geeks and folks like that. So check it out. There's an agenda. You can sign up and register, and it's coming up later in Q4. So thank you, Eric, for your presentation and your demo, and thanks everyone for participating and joining in the call today in the webinar, and we'll catch you next time.
Great. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.